we are talking about both the deal that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer made with Donald Trump to basically punt the debt ceiling by 3 months as a way of also getting Hurricane Harvey support and funding passed as well. And you argued that this was probably a deal that either both made Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell happy, or one that they were also willing to sort of somewhat orchestrate. Now, I have no doubt that Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, on one hand, are like a little bit relieved that they're not going to have to deal with this because it would have been a meat grinder. But I think we have to remember that Paul Ryan, up until like hours, a couple of hours before Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer came out and announced they had a deal, thought that he had a deal. I mean, if he thought that it was going to go down, that Donald Trump was going to make a deal to just push the debt ceiling by 3 months, he certainly, I think he deserves an Emmy, because he was out a couple of hours earlier talking about how ridiculous the idea that you would push this off by 3 months was, and how despicable it was that you would do this. And I do think that there is a slow awareness amongst the Republican Party that we may want to put some distance between ourselves and Donald Trump, because 2018 could be a bit of a problem for us. But you know they can't do this, and they know they can't do it because their voters still are all Trump voters. You know, Donald Trump has 75% approval rating amongst Republicans. I would imagine if you were to drill down and look at specifically Congress people's seats and Senate people's seats where the Republicans hold it, that number is even higher. And people should remember, the Democratic Party approved of Barack Obama less in 2012 than Republicans approve of Donald Trump today. So I don't think they can escape Donald Trump, and I think it may have been one of those situations where they're like, let's look at let's make some lemon out of this or lemonade out of this lemons. But nevertheless, how they felt about it is secondary to what we've seen. I mean, the DACA deal, right, couldn't have happened unless Donald Trump made that first deal, it seems to me. And the DACA deal, knock on wood, it stays together, is a huge positive, just like a humanitarian positiveness. And I don't think that second one would have happened without the first.
Well, that's a good point. And you may be right. And I don't doubt that. I mean, to me, all those things are fine. I have my concerns about Democrats getting a little too celebratory and normalizing Trump as part of this process. However, on the merits of these particular events that they worked across the aisle with Trump, of course, they had to be done. I even argued in my Salon column that the wall was worth exchanging the wall for some kind of legalization for the Dreamers. And that's a big concession. But to me, it was like, all right, well, it'll be a Donald Trump, development, so it'll fall down in a couple of years anyway. And, we can all stand on top of it like the Berlin Wall when he goes away and
we
tears
pull it
the thing
apart
down.
bit by
yeah,
bit.
Exactly. But, whatever the case, I felt like, this is a humanitarian crisis for
right.
800,000 Americans. I consider them Americans. They consider themselves Americans, and most decent people see them as Americans. And the idea that we would, that you would do this to these kids is horrifying. So, of course, I think Democrats enabling that in whatever way they can is
very
great.
important.
And, it's
important.
necessary.